Fantasy Football Universe, welcome again to another episode of Devy Planet. Today, my co-host and I, Spencer at Buckwald Sports, go into our overreactions for week one, players that we love, players that we hate, and we have a little bit of homework for each other. All that and more right after the intro.
Welcome to the Devy Planet. The Devy Planet. The Devy Planet.
Fantasy Football Universe, this is the Devy Planet. I am SC Romero with my co-host Spencer at Buckwald Sports. How you doing today, Spencer?
I'm doing great, man. We had a heck of a first week, so I'm pumped to break it down. How are you doing?
Doing good, man, as I am doing my family redraft draft right now. My wife is the back-to-back champion, so shout out her. She actually has a shirt that says, "I'm better than my husband at fantasy football," and she just chose CeeDee Lamb and Devin Austin, so a very strong start to her team as it goes. And I think I'm going to go with, I chose Malik Neighbors. I'm gonna go back to back LSU, and I'll go Brian Thomas over Genji here. People may hate me on that, but anyways, we're talking Debbie here. We're talking college football at this time, and as you mentioned, week one was filled with excitement, and we are going to overreact to some of it. As you know, Spencer, during week one, it's not the time to necessarily panic quite yet. So a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, we're going to panic for y'all, but also keep in mind, I'll pump your brakes a little bit. We'll actually add a little bit of emphasis. Should we panic or should we pump our brakes when we go into these segments? So our first one, as I mentioned, the overreactions. We're going to talk about some of the top headlines in week one of college football. One being, it was our top headline actually last week as well. Yeah. Arch Manning, Texas quarterback, is a bust. Spencer, yes or no?
Not yet, but he's not coming out in 26. I'll tell you that
much. for sure.
No. I mean, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game because you've been pumping the brakes on Arch all off season, saying, "Hold on, he's not ready. He's got time." So tell us what you thought when if you watched this game.
So I mean, first, check out the Devy Times. That's a newspaper article type of thing that we're gonna be doing throughout the season. And I mentioned that yes, he did struggle during this game. But so did really Ohio State. This is really a defensive game. I mean, it wasn't like Ohio State blew them out as they did against some teams in the playoffs. It was 14-7. So both teams were really trying to look for their identity. Julian Sane, another one of our top headlines, didn't go super sane at all. You know, if anything, it was kind of what's going on. These are supposed to be two of the top teams, and to be quite honest, they kind of underperform or didn't live up to the expectations of what it was. We thought it was going to be like a firework type of showing, and it wasn't. It was a really good defensive game, and it goes to show that both teams really well find their identity. Are they going to lean on the quarterbacks? Are they going to lean onto the running backs? We really didn't see that. Ryan Wingo was kind of absent. On the other side, Jeremiah Smith has some big plays, but also someone that didn't show out as much as we thought he may have done it. Just a lot of things where it's you can tell there's new quarterbacks, there's new leaders in that offense on both sides that they're going to need some time to adapting. Am I panicking? No, but as I've said before with Arch Manning, the competition that he played and he succeeded was great. And I go back to that Georgia game where when he came in for Quinn Ewers for a little bit, he was getting beat up. And this game he was too, and there looks like at times his confidence was shaken just a tad little bit to just be aware of it. Or any different thoughts there?
No, I mean, I think that, like, again, there were the spots of shine, I think. Like, he looked really good as a rusher. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that finally the national attention is realizing kind of what I've been saying is that he's really good as a running quarterback. Right. But his footwork and mechanics throwing the ball are god-awful. You know, and
right?
No, I mean that footwork, like you there's certain plays where he plants, he doesn't move, he's throwing sidearm as like he's got a rush coming in. All of that is really like immature high school stuff. You know, that's something that, you know, he's now a year into the program there at Texas. Like he really should have this, you know, down. Like it shouldn't be so difficult for him. So I think that was one of the things that stood out is like he's got a lot of work to do with his footwork, with his, you know, poise in the pocket when it breaks down. But I mean, there was a lot. I think there was enough flashes there that like if the expectations weren't, hey, this kid's going to win the Heisman, we would be taking away a lot of positive from this game.
Right.
But the expectations were taken, like he's going to win the Heisman. And
Yeah.
as you said, like nobody was great in this game. Sayan was really just a game manager outside of that one play to Carnell Tate that I
To
don't know,
who?
maybe
Wait, to?
yeah, two for what? 2 for 69 and a touchdown.
It's still a great catch. So not take away from
No,
the
it was a great catch.
catch.
No, I mean it was like 20 yards underthrown, and he
Yeah.
came back, he got it, he was tough through contact and scored.
For
I mean,
sure.
like it was a great play, and he's gonna have those. But like again, no, I mean nobody in this game was consistently separating besides Jeremiah Smith, and
Right.
that is what I'm worried about for Arch going forward, is because this was supposed to be a good supporting cast. None of his weapons got separation. The O line was really rough.
Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting to see again two national favorites. The best thing about it being week one is this is possibly something we see within the playoffs, but not the national championship. This type of game,
Yeah,
being an out of conference game, it didn't affect anyone as much, right? Because you they're still gonna play the SEC, still gonna play the Big Ten. So Texas could very well go into the SEC and run wild and dominate the entire SEC, make it to a bye week. And then same thing with Ohio State. They could go out there and win it all too, and still go out there and be great. So definitely eyes to watch on. Our headline of Arch is a bust. Pump the brakes there. Not quite yet. It was a tough matchup all around. It might have been different if Ohio State went out there and blew him out and just looked phenomenal with Fan, who doesn't get as much hype as him. But it wasn't. They both played very similarly. I didn't go away thinking I need to go buy these guys right now or sell these guys because I'm panicking. If anything, if anyone is, I would go buy them because I think there still is a lot of opportunity for them there as well. Our next one here, Alabama is toast. There is tears in Tuscaloosa. What are your thoughts on this game? Because Florida State went in there. We might have Davis Winston 2.0 with him eating the dub there. What are your thoughts there?
yeah. This one I think there might be more validity too because, I mean, DeBoer, it hasn't been good since he got there. I mean, the vibes haven't been great. Ty Simpson looked really bad. I mean, it wasn't just, like he was having a lot of trouble consistently putting the ball on his receivers.
Mm.
The mobility wasn't quite there. I mean, FSU it looked, they put a lot into their offense, but the defense wasn't supposed to be any like world beating defense. Right. And they made that DeBoer offense look like child's play. I mean, Ryan Williams got concussed early.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Horton was out like the third play of the game.
Right.
So it kind of, Jeremy Bernard went off, which was awesome to see.
Shout out Jeremy Bernard, definitely.
Yeah, no, I mean, so that was great to see, but this wasn't supposed to be like a blowout, and it really was a lopsided game. I mean, it got a little closer towards the end, but it always felt like there was no momentum for Alabama. So I am worried. I think that this could be a big wake up call for them. Obviously we talked, this isn't conference play. It's not going to affect their chance at the playoffs, but them not being playoff worthy is going to affect their chance of playoffs.
Right.
Do you have any different thoughts? Do you think they can recover from this?
Shout out Matt, man. If y'all aren't following Matt with IDP, thank you for joining in, Matt. Always love seeing you here. He's a great IDP analyst, fantasy football analysis as well. Make sure you're following Matt Montgomery there. No, so Ty Simpson, he did look great. I mean, that was something we knew coming in, right? What's his quarterback situation going to look like? I know last week you talked about Bill Napier possibly being on the hot seat. It might be Gilbert being on the hot seat, right? Just the way it looked. But looking at the game, I went back, watched all of it. The passing game wasn't necessarily the problem. Ty Simpson on his arm can take the team to the playoffs potentially. The issue was the running game on both sides of the ball. I think they cracked just over 100, like 102. But if you get into like loss of yards and stuff, it was under 100 for a whole as a unit for Alabama. There was no true runner. With Jam Miller banged up, Richard Young, it was like, was he going to come in? Is AK Deere going to get some of it? Is Ty Simpson going to use his mobility? They just really didn't have a rushing identity. And on the flip side of that, their defense couldn't stop the run to save their life. I think they had like 234 yards on rushing for FSU total.
Oh, it was terrible, yeah.
It was dreadful. Unlike what you see in the Alabama game. Sure, every now and again they do it, but typically Alabama has a nice front seven that is able to maneuver around their linemen or their linebackers to get those run stops, and we didn't see a lot of that in this game. Now, on the flip side, FSU played great. this was definitely an eye opener to Alabama and saying, look, I know the eyes are on Ty Simpson, but it's really their rushing identity that is going to get them missing the playoffs, if that, you know. And so right now, as far as a Devy prospect or asset, I mean, you have AKD right now, you're holding him and hoping. Jam Miller, you want him back because it definitely showed, hey, he's possibly the guy, the best running back on their team, and that could definitely transition. You mentioned Jerry Bernard had a great game. I think he had over 100 yards. Uh, 5 or 6 receptions there, which is phenomenal. Definitely a guy I think that is going to rise in his Devy stock, especially if Ryan Williams is banged up a little bit. Even with Ryan Williams, I was pumping the brakes on Williams and buying into Bernard. But it's just the quarterback. We knew Milroe or Simpson isn't Milroe. He's not going to bomb it down to Williams as that's what was happening last season. So there is a lot of things of concern for Alabama. Um, Alabama's toast. I mean, it's way too early to tell. But if we don't see some upgrades in this running back room or in this running defense, Russian defense, by week 3 or 4, then yeah, I think they're definitely gone. So it's definitely bad to see. Our next one on the flip side, though, as we're talking about Alabama, let's go to our Florida State theme. Tommy Castellanos, I think I said that last name correct, is an NFL starting prospect. Yes or no?
This is a tough. I got to check my emotions here because I love Tommy. No, I mean this was great to see. Like I think the moxie coming out, like him being like, I want Bama, Bama being like, you don't deserve to say that. You're just Tommy Castellanos at FSU, and then he blows him up. Great to see. I need to see a little bit more because he's really undersized. I think he's 5'10", 180. But I mean, he's electric with the ball in his hands. That running came back. We talked about it in our sleeper show that he didn't run a lot last year. Bill O'Brien sort of didn't know how to use him. I mean, immediately, I think he ran for more yards against Alabama than he did almost all of last year.
Yeah.
So, we're back on the Tommy train, especially for CFF. Mm-hmm. Starting NFL quarterback, I need to see that passing progression continue. But he looked really sharp, both sides, as a runner, as a passer. I could see him getting like some day 2 looks if he keeps this up all year.
I will say if Jordan Travis never went down with injury, there is opportunity for him to possibly be a first-round quarterback just on the way he performed that year. If Castellanos goes out there and does similar things, we could be talking about him as that as well, that re-identity of FSU. And for those watching that aren't aware of what Spencer said, he did come out before the game and said about Alabama, they don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. And my guy put the money where his mouth is. And he backed it up, and they did it. And there's nothing they can say about that. They can come and talk trash. Like, hey, you couldn't stop him. Now, again, this is something we could potentially see in the playoffs as a rematch. But, again, with Alabama losing, there's going to be a long shot for them to get it, especially with the way their running defense would. Tommy was a big part of that Russian offense for Florida State that just dominated all over Alabama. Again, just something you don't normally see with Alabama. But with our next one here, there's been talk about RB1, for the show and who it is. But is Jonah Coleman at Washington the RB1 of 2026? What are your thoughts there?
I don't think that it's an overreaction to say he should be in the conversation.
Right.
Jeremiah Love didn't get a lot of work until the second half of the game, but Jonah Coleman was like 26 for 177 and a touchdown. He had a 22-yard reception on top of that.
Right.
And he looked a little faster this year, a little quicker this year. I genuinely think that he should be in the discussion. Now, am I ready to label him? Amir's going, he loves it. He loves it.
I've seen that yes says, yeah. But we agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he deserves to be in that conversation because there isn't really a clear guy right now. Nick Singleton had 2 touchdowns, but he looked pretty bad against bad competition. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's wide open, and why can't it be Jonah Coleman? What do you think?
Yeah. No, you mentioned the speed. I can't pinpoint the exact play, but there is one. I think it was a touchdown play. But the way he maneuvered, his stepping, it was very similar to Trey Benson, but a lot better than what Trey Benson. As far as that one step, he plants his foot, and then he gets to the open lane, and he's completely gone, and he has the speed to do it as well. Again, similar to that what Benson was at Florida State, but probably a little bit healthier. And Washington's not going to get the looks that it deserves. Because, it could if they progress, but because they're in the Big Ten, because you still have Oregon, because you have Ohio State, because you have Penn State, those 3 teams alone might overshadow what Washington does. And Washington, honestly, has a solid trinity. When you think about Devin Williams, you think about your guy in Denzel Boston, and then we bring in Jonah Coleman. Those three guys together could be the trifecta Washington needs to push them into the higher ranks and get them into a potential playoff opportunity. Jonah Coleman, if you're able to buy, I would, because it's looking like he may be having a solid year. And as you mentioned, I don't think it's necessarily out of the prediction of saying he's the RB1. Now, with that, I will say in this class alone, I don't necessarily see a first round running back. I don't know if any of them are. We could argue some of them possibly sneak in, but right now I think we're thinking about day 2, and with that, a later, maybe mid round to late second round pick, and then more of them into day 3. This past class was the one where it's like, oh, so many guys. This one, I don't really see it right now, and I don't know if I necessarily will see it when it comes out, but there is some opportunity there as well. But with that, I mean, speaking of RB1s, top end talent there. Another one, we've been waiting for this really. Baylor's tight end, Michael Trigg, the top 3 tight end in Devy right now. I mean, what are your thoughts on there?
Again, this is a heart over matter one. So I do think that he rebuilt his stock in one game, which is awesome because he was basically a dead asset.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I think it was 7 for 16, over 100 yards, a touchdown.
Right.
But he did have 2 pretty bad drops. Again, 7 for 16 isn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
That's like a 46% reception rate.
Yeah.
I think he did have a pretty mean contested catch in this game, and his angry run with the ball, he shook like 5 defenders as he went for like 10 yards.
Right.
So top 3, I don't know if I can quite get there, but I think we got to watch him because if he keeps going, I mean, this wasn't against bad competition. This was a tough game that they played. They ended up losing it. I think he could get there. What do you think here?
So with that, I think this is the trick we've been wanting, because we know the athleticism in his skill set is there. He is a top 3 tight end if we're talking about one of the most athletics. The issue has been he hasn't been able to stay on the field. And as my co-host on the Devy DJs, Tommy says, durability is the best ability. 100% correct. And Michael Trigg hasn't been able to be durable, or he's had some off-the-field issues where he hasn't seen the field. We haven't really seen that full season potential of him. If we see that, that's where it becomes a masterpiece. And if he continues to go out there, the receptions, yes, those hurt, but there's different things that go into mind of it. I didn't watch Dog Toy 2 on there. I would need to see exactly how those throws were being made. Was it on him? Was the quarterback? Was the defense on fire? All those type of things play impact on it. So that's something to be looking forward to. But as far as what he is, I'm excited to see what he is. You mentioned that one player where he broke out of 5 guys, and it wasn't just shaking him. Like, he's not really agile like that. He does have the moves, but he was bodying over him. His contact balance was superb in that one play, and he made it, to move the chains. And that's what you won. That's something, college or NFL prospects do look at, or for their NFL prospects, NFL scouts, excuse me. So there is some exciting opportunity there for him. And I'm excited to see what he is. Top 3, we'll pump the brakes, but this is exciting because this is the Michael Trigg we've been wanting to see since he's been in college as well. Now, the next one here, Miami. Carson Beck is back? Yes or no?
This one, I don't think so. What I'll say is he looked better against Notre Dame than he did almost all of last year. But it was, but that's not saying much. And it was also,
for sure.
Like, again, he was good, but his playmakers made a lot of really good plays for him. I think it was not Malachi Fields. They had a different guy.
Young? Kobe Young?
No, it was making plays for him in this week. I can't remember. It's a true freshman who I wasn't on my radar at all. Malachi Tony, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, Malachi Tony was making some huge plays for him. CJ Daniels had that one-handed catch that was
CJ Daniels, that's what I meant, not Kobe Young. Yep.
Yeah, no, it was so he had guys making just absolutely insane plays for him to kind of boost his stats, and he was still overall in the day more of a game manager than a true difference maker. But I think that he's probably going to get drafted still, probably into a backup role. So is he back? Beck is not back. Beck is still Beck.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This was a big win for him for sure. This was something they definitely needed. for it. Is he back? I mean, it's showing it, but he didn't do anything to necessarily raise his stock. If anything, it's like, okay, this is Beck is a solid game manager, and that's why NFL scouts do like him. He could definitely be a starting quarterback. He could definitely be someone that goes in there and makes the plays. But I don't know if he's going to elevate this team to the heights that Cam Ward had got them to. So there is still some things we'll be looking forward to watching. If I have him in Devy, I'm excited. I'm not necessarily going out there to buy him because I think there's still a lot to be seen. But it is nice to see him go out there and get a win against number 6 Notre Dame, who we kind of knew was going to struggle here and there once he got started. So that's not necessarily bad there. But I definitely want to see more from him before I jump the ship and start saying I'm buying everything I can with Carson Beck there. Now I'm gonna let you take this one away because this is your guy, like Kansas State, and is he a top 3 receiver in 2026?
Oh baby. Jace Brown. Jace Brown's come out had 2 outstanding weeks. I mean, it was 12 of 16 for over 100 yards and a touchdown again last week. Avery Johnson's thrown more, which is good to see. Yeah, that means Jace Brown can get up there.
Right.
I put out a tweet this week, and I genuinely believe it. I think Jace Brown is like this year's Jalen Noel, where he's your good slot receiver. He's more athletic than people give him credit for.
Right.
I mean, I think the main difference, I think Jace Brown's going to start to get some national attention, and I do think he could creep into the top 3.
Right.
He's probably more likely like going to peak out at a top 5, top 6 guy. But I mean, it's 2 like early great weeks from him. They weren't exactly, Kansas State's defense looks really bad, so I think that they're going to have to throw a lot. I'm really betting on Jace Brown being that twitchy slot receiver, tests really well, NFL teams love, and then when he gets to your Devy rosters, he's going to slot in as a really good wide receiver too that could be peppered with targets.
Right.
If you like Jalen Noel, if you like Josh Downs, you should want Jace Brown because he's exactly that type of mold of receiver, but he goes downfield and really gets it.
Yeah. And back-to-back games with touchdowns. I mean, he could go a full season with just getting a touchdown here and there. But definitely I like the Twitch motions for him, and I like his ability to go up there and get it as well. He just seems like he's a solid, trusted wide receiver, and he's possibly a receiver people can move around. I don't think he necessarily has to stay in the slot. I think he can move outside, play in the X, anything you need for him. So I want to see more. The downfall is Avery Johnson looks great right now. We'll see how Avery Johnson looks moving forward, because again, that's gonna be the biggest thing is Avery Johnson a sustainable quarterback for someone like Jace Brown? Luckily, they've had connection, they've had chemistry, they built their chemistry up even last year, so we're seeing more and more. So it seems like he's becoming that trusted type of target for them as well. Now our next one here though is true freshman, so that came out, or 2, I guess, Malik Washington out of Maryland and Jared Sagabutelli, I forgot the middle name there, KOA Sagabutelli, JKS, are QB 1 and 2 of 2028. Is that true?
It's not quite true. Bryce Underwood and Keelan Russell are still there for me. And Keelan kind of gets a pass because we're not going to see him, so he's just going to linger there, indefinitely on the promise of being the next Lamar.
Right.
I
mean, he may be fast. Simpson's not getting the wins though, so
it's true. We might see him sooner rather than later. But Bryce Underwood also looks good, so I don't want to, take away from that. But I do think that they jumped up to 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Like within one game, especially like JKS looked really good, and that
really good.
Cal team is not great, and the system really like played to his strengths. But I think he was PFF's #1 graded passer on the week. He had, I think, 5 big time throws, which led all of college football. Like, beautiful. Just was he was going out there and balling. It's a shame that he wasn't willing to sit behind Dante Moore for a year and stay at Oregon, because I would have loved to see him at a program like that.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he looked ready from game 1.
Right.
So he might have been onto something about let me play. But Malik Washington is another good guy. I mean, he's 6'5", runs a 4.65, 40-yard dash. And he was balling. I mean, it was a slow start for him down there at Maryland, and he also went off. So I think you got to vault these 2 guys up and really take a look at that 2028 class. Looks like a pretty good freshman quarterback class, and that's going to be another strong QB class coming out. Any thoughts for you?
Well, League should look great. I mean, it's gonna be phenomenal. I want to highlight on JKS because I feel enough people weren't talking about him. Towards probably about 3, 4 weeks ago, I started paying closer attention to. I was once he had committed to Oregon, then decommitted, went to Cal. I was like, all right, off this guy here. That's my Oregon fan up there. But I started paying attention closer to him. I went back to watch his game in high school. That's like, okay, this kid has something. Over 60% completion, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards passing in his first game. Oregon State's not really, it's not premier, right, as far as your competition. But for Cal, that's still a good win. And all the eyes were talking about these California quarterbacks. When I say Cal or like UCLA, they're probably on Nico Iamavia, and he didn't do good. And granted, he was against Utah, who typically has a better defense, but yet he underperformed. And JK is coming out and do that. I think it goes out there and says, look, this was a top rated prospect coming out of high school. He was known for his arms. If I'm not mistaken, he's either 1 or 2 in passing yards for the state of Hawaii as far as high school. Don't quote me on that, but he's definitely in the top 5. I know that. And he went out there and showed that. I think Cal has a great leader in him. So I'm excited to see what he does moving forward because I think there's going to be eyes on him. And he is definitely someone I would buy even after this week 1 performance. I like what I saw, and it shows they're going to build around him. I mean, 34-15 against Oregon State. There's definitely opportunity there for him to go out there and just dominate there as well. Um, Now, our second to last one, we're going to kind of bundle these in here because they both have to do with similarity. We talked about Jonah Coleman being RB1 in 2026. Jeremiah Love is not a top 50 player in the 2026 draft. Makai Hughes is Oregon's RB4 and droppable in Devy. I'll let you start with the Jeremiah Love, and I'll go into Makai Hughes.
So the Jeremiah Love, I am buying that. I think that what came out is like Miami has a pretty good, like, they surprised me with how their defense looked. It looked pretty solid. But Jeremiah Love's weaknesses were kind of on display here, where it's not super versatile. He needs a little bit more around him to really get going and to really make things happen. He's not a he's a great player. I think he's maybe just a very good player, but he's not a premier talent. And I think that's what was on display. Maybe we'll see the usage come up. Maybe he'll step back up later in the year. But I really feel like going back to last year, this sort of up and down type of usage and up and down type of performance is kind of consistent with him. And puts him more in that kind of late day 2, early day 3 running back for me that maybe a team reaches on. But I mean, we saw Trevion Henderson, who's a much better running back, fall a little farther this year than, he was at 39 in the draft. I don't see how Jeremiah Love comes kind of close to that draft stock. But onto the Makai Hughes point, are you buying that he is your RB4 and you can drop him?
I mean, he was my RB1 in Devy, so I'll drop it and pumping the brakes on that. I will highlight on Jeremiah Love just because you said that. I do agree. I think Notre Dame kind of gets a pass as far as who they're playing. Love does look good, but at times he does struggle against that tougher competition. We kind of seen it here. I mean, average less than 4 yards per carry in this one, 10 carries, 33 yards, no touchdowns. In my eyes, though, Notre Dame needs to lean on him. Like, he needs to be getting 15, if not 20 touches a game because that's the type of dynamic he is. He did have 4 receptions, 26 yards, but you want to see more. Like I've said it over and over. We have a short on the FFU. All they need is Love, and they need Love to go out there and perform. As far as Makai Hughes, so I want to highlight this. I'm glad we're talking about because prior to the week, Dan Lanning, the coach of Oregon, did come out and say there's still some guys we need to we need to watch. We're gonna be playing some guys that we probably wouldn't necessarily start. We're gonna be playing some guys and see what they are. There's still some guys that need to see some full tape on in a sense, right? And Makai Hughes was definitely one of the most polished backs, one of the more seasoned backs in Oregon right now. So in my eyes, I don't believe they lean on. I haven't seen anything. I didn't see anything about disciplinary actions. I didn't see anything about him doing something wrong on the team and why he didn't get the carries. So my thought is they didn't play him because they didn't need to. They knew what the competition was, and they wanted to see what they had with everyone else. I mean, as a whole, Oregon offense looked great, but there was no one that stood out. It was peppered around everywhere. From the rushers, I think it was Noah Whittington had 10 carries that led the team. From the receivers, Noah really stood out. I think the most was 5 receptions from Malik Benson, if I'm not mistaken. So there wasn't really a pinpoint. Even Kenyon Sadiq, who we talked about, wasn't there right there. I think it was really just saying, look, we're against Montana State. We don't need that. Now, they did have a better showing than they did in week 1 of last year against Idaho. I think they understood what they were getting into. They knew what they had with the team, and they wanted to expose all of that in this showing. But even after the game, Lanning said, hey, we didn't showcase our whole playbook. Like, there's still a lot of stuff we were planning to use, and we didn't need to. So they play Oklahoma State this week. I think this week is going to be more of a telltale signs of where Mekhi Hughes is. In my eyes, again, the most seasoned, he had the most tread on his tires, so to say. So they didn't necessarily want to go out there and use him fully. If they're going to lean on him, they want to lean on him in the competitive battles when you're going against a Big 12 type of defense in Oklahoma State, when you're going against the Big 10 front 7 type of defenses, all those things of that nature to move forward and actually make it happen. So I'm pumping the brakes on there. I can't see Jeremiah Love now as a top 50 player. I don't think Mekhi Hughes is droppable quite yet. Could you get worried? Sure, but it'll be more worrisome if he does kind of the same performance this upcoming week against Oklahoma State for me on there. Now, with that, our next thing we're going to talk about, those were our top headlines there. We're going to talk about some people we love here that showed out in week 1 and really impressed us here in college football. And I'm going to start out with saying Byron Brown out of University of South Florida. He came out and just absolutely dominated on all ends. I posted a GIF with someone said about it. There's John Wick, if y'all haven't seen that. He gets tied up on the back. People are beating him up, and they're like, people are asking if I'm back. And he's like, yeah, I'm guessing I'm back. Byron Brown is back, man. He looked phenomenal. 16 completions for 24 attempts, 210 yards, average 3.1 yards per carry, 43 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He got the ball out quickly. He escaped when he needed to. There was a couple of plays we were talking about earlier with Michael Trigg and his contact balance. They couldn't bring down Byron Brown. Like, this guy was looking like a running back the way he was running. This is the Byron Brown you're excited for. This is the one you wanted into your CFF. Is this going to raise him up in Devy? I mean, he had some Devy potential. I wouldn't necessarily raise his draft stock up, I guess, because other people drop. He might just a little bit. But I'm absolutely in love. If you have a CFF, I think this is great. And I'm excited to see what he does continuing on at South Florida there as well. Any thoughts there?
I really think as a rusher, we didn't see this as much as we wanted to last year. Mm-hmm. He was dealing with some injuries. He was, for whatever reason, the usage was off. I mean, he looked like Derrick Henry out there.
Right.
As you kind of alluded to. I mean, he was just bowling dudes over. So it was great to see. I do think there's some Devy upside with Byron Brown just because of the dual threat ability. Like, a team is going to take a shot on him. And, how high can he go? I really don't know that he can get above day 3 with his, kind of arm. But
yeah.
We'll see. I mean, this was against Boise State, who looks like, they dropped down to like 100 in my ranking. I think
yeah, for sure.
It was a rough showing for them, but I mean, that was a ranked opponent who was great last year. They didn't lose a lot of pieces, so the fact that he was able to go out and do this against that team, it says a lot about where he is.
Right. No, I agree. And his arm is the question there, but definitely showed him ability. He'll definitely get a shot, but I think day 3 for him as well. But just excited to see because the previous season wasn't up to par. So excited to see him come back and get that win, even if it was Boise State. Who's your quarterback that you love this week?
Yeah, this was Bo Pribula. So, this was a guy we shouted out in our transfer episode, me and Huncho. But Bo coming over from Penn State, he went 23 for 28. For 283 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he added 10 carries for 65 yards and 2 additional touchdowns. This was terrible competition, but he did exactly what you're supposed to do against terrible competition.
Right.
He showed out. The arm strength was on display. He fit the ball into tight windows. The escapability was fully there, where pocket broke down, he escaped pressure, he ran out, made things happen, either got rid of the ball. Like, every decision he made was the right decision. And this was a guy who was supposed to be a little bit raw. Like, that was kind of the Penn State reasoning for never playing him. Like, he's not to the level of Drew Allar. We can't justify it. Used him like Taysom Hill, and then he goes out and does this. I think Sam Horn got hurt early, but I think the quarterback battle was decided pretty quickly in
Mhm.
this game because Bo looked legit.
Yeah,
So Mizzou might have their quarterback.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
speaking of that, sorry, just quarterback and wide receiver and running back too, right? I
yeah,
mean,
no, the whole crew looked good. I mean, like, I guess what were your thoughts on Bo? And I mean, do you think that there's Debbie upside here?
yeah, I definitely think there's Devy upside. Shout out our guy JT Orange who hopped on the Devy game day with us. But Bo looked phenomenal. 6'2", 212, definitely has your size that you kind of want there. And went out there, showed out. In this game, what over 80% completion. And it wasn't necessary to one guy. He was definitely moving the ball around, like you mentioned, scanning the field. So he's not just your one read type of quarterback. He was someone that continued to progress, move the chains down the field as well. And his big time target, someone that really caught my eye, Marquise Johnson at wide
Yeah,
receiver, right? Came out 5 receptions, 134 yards, and a touchdown as well. But it was due to Bo just having the escapability and the confidence in the pocket. Something you don't see quite often in those younger quarterbacks, right? But he's coming in as a senior, so he has the experience to do it. But he's younger in the sense that he hasn't really had the exposure we've seen. So him going over, I think that's really a true step for him to go out there and do something big for a team because he's been able to understand the game. He's been able to slow it down. I think that's really what we saw here. So able to slow it down a little bit more and actually make some big steps for it as well. I do believe they have Kansas coming up, who's 2-0, and Jaden Daniels is also looking good. So that could be a test to be on what they're doing, but I'm excited to see how he continues to impress moving forward there as well. Now, our running backs here that impressed. I'll let you start. Who's your running back that impressed you?
yeah, I'll keep it quick because we already talked about him. But Jonah Coleman, my new nickname for him is Balto because he's the Husky leading the charge. Um,
There you go. Love it.
it was a monster game. Dominant game one. I think that again, he's just a guy who hasn't been talked about enough. I really wanted to highlight him again and
No.
just say, like, guys, he needs to be going in round two of your Devy drafts. If not,
Yeah.
if not end of round one, because he's legitimately in contention for RB1 next year, and
Yeah.
he just looks like a beast.
Shout out our guy Dustings. I think he's on the same page. He's been pumping Jonah Coleman as well, as long with you, just about as long, if not your time. So I definitely think he's great. And I want to bring someone up too that we've talked about before, but I really want to shout out because I thought there was going to be more competition in the backfield with him, and that's LSU Caden Durham's. We were higher on Durham moving forward, but there's no competition in the backfield right now. If he's healthy, it looks like he's him. He had 17 rushing attempts, led the team, 74 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, 58 yards after contact, which is also phenomenal. 3 receptions on 4 targets for 22 yards. I mean, Caden Durham looked like he was a piece of the offense. Granted, we didn't see a lot from their offensive weapons as well, but Caleb Durham looks like he's a solid piece. And if you bought in, congrats. Now, if you're able to still, I would say go get him as well, but it might be too late because he looks like he's going to be the true every down back for them moving forward. Any thoughts on Durham?
No, I mean, I think that you're like this is a good call out because he might be the Devy RB1.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he could really challenge for it because the offense, like Garrett Nussmeier did his part playing the game manager role,
right,
but it was really due to kind of Durham that the offense was able to keep moving
right.
because he made plays happen, he made guys miss, he broke a few tackles, like, he looked really good, and Harlan Berry didn't see the field at all. KJ Jackson is gone forever, so just
Mhm.
I mean, it's his backfield, as you said, and that LSU backfield, they're going to rely on him heavy. I think he's going to show out. At the very
Yeah.
least, he's RB1 of 2027 for me because he looked legit.
No, I'm not going against you on that RB1 identity for him in 2027 because I think there is definitely opportunity for him there to actually go out there and make some big plays happen because he looked great, and I think he's going to be a top one. I had Nate Fraser as his originally, but I mean, Durham looks like he could be the guy there. Now, speaking of guys that have continued to impress for going forward, our wide receivers. I mean, I'll let you start off with this one because it sounds like you have a craving for some a wide receiver.
Yeah. No, I'm craving some more here from Mario
Yeah.
Craver. He looked, I went back and watched the tape, and he just looked like an electric playmaker. Now,
Yeah.
not a lot downfield at all. It was 8 for 10, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. 103, I think, of those yards were after catch. So
Nice.
he got the ball and ran. It was like a 2 dot. He's what the Giants think they have in Wandale Robinson,
Okay.
because he just got
Yeah,
the
I
ball in
like
his
that.
hands and he was able to run it out. So it was almost all slot work. You know, he's an undersized guy, but he transfers in, to this Texas A&M room. I
Hmm.
believe it's a 4-star transfer coming in. Marcel Reed looks pretty good running that offense, but a big part of that was he had guys like Craver making plays.
Yeah,
Concepcion looked good, but I thought Craver stole the show.
yeah.
And that dynamism, he looked a little Tank Dell like to me.
Yeah, I
So
thought Craver was a little bit more explosive than Concepcion. I mean, Concepcion still had 3 for 72, but definitely the show was on Craver. You know, he was the one that was making the big plays and actually moving around the field and making it happen with his elusiveness and his agility to escape that kind of pressure and make it happen. So I absolutely love that call out. I'm excited to see what he can. He's possibly someone that was on your waivers, so you possibly could still get an opportunity for him, or you could still possibly trade him. For someone like Concepcion, but I would still hope Concepcion. But
yeah,
it is nice because we were questioning, all right, with Jerome Miles injured again and his daily stock dropping, is there going to be a wide receiver that kind of steps up and becomes their two with Concepcion? Craver might be the one with Concepcion's the two, but I absolutely love that. And I'm excited to see what him and Marcel Reed could do down the stretch as well. My wide receiver here is someone I talked about as well for one of our players not being talked about. That's TCU wide receiver Jordan Dwyer. Now, he was just all over the Tar Heels there against North Carolina. By the way, Bill Belichick, I know people are calling the GOAT coach, but more and more I think about it, might have been Brady as the GOAT there. But with Belichick, he dominated 9 targets, 9 receptions, 136 yards, and a touchdown. We called him out earlier. He just looked great. He was the go-to guy for TCU. He was the one that was moving the teams. He did not drop one of his single passes. This is just a guy that I think is going to be phenomenal down the stretch. He's showed his reliability, and I think they have a true alpha with Jordan Dwyer, and we're only going to see him progress and progress as we move forward down the stretch as well. Any thoughts on him?
no, mad props to you because you called him out very early. I really thought McAllister was going to take over this wide receiver room, and Dwyer was clearly the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but he looked phenomenal. The contested catch ability was there. I mean, he made some hard catches. He made things happen after the catch. He got
Yep.
open when he was doubled. He got open. Like he looked really good. I
Right.
think that he for sure is going to be a fast riser. If you can still get him, if someone's thinking maybe I can sell high on Jordan Dwyer, try to get a decent piece. I mean, Kevin
Yeah.
Concepcion is a guy I would trade for Jordan Dwyer straight up,
100%. 100%.
because he just looked. He looked the part, and he's got some swag about him.
Yeah.
So all of that to
Love.
say, TCU might make some waves this year. The offense looked really good.
Yeah, we didn't talk enough about them in our Big 12 episode, but they might end up being something that the Big 12 has to watch out for down the stretch. Now, uh, another one, when we watch our tight ends that really showed us some love. I'll start with, the Boomer Sooner, Jaren Kanak. I don't know if I said Kanak right, but that sounds about right. 5 receptions, 6 targets, 90 yards. Had a banger of a catch with a 48-yard run. Just something that we said about Michael Trigg. He had that similarity where he was just not getting touched and he was running down the field. 17.4 yards per catch. Definitely someone that's I have my eye on moving forward, especially the offense that doesn't have a true wide receiver, in my opinion. So we might see more Jaren Kanak as being John Mateer's guy moving forward. Any thoughts on that?
No, I didn't really get to catch much of it. So when I saw him on the sheet, I watched it back. I mean, he looked he looked hardy, like that
Mm-hmm.
that big tight end that breaks tackles, makes things happen. That's
Right.
what you want to see, and sort of accelerated to watch the John Mateer as well. It looks like he's got a lot of chemistry there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of excited to see if he keeps developing, keeps going forward. These tight ends, you got to watch them and move quick on them because they pop up and then they stay. So this is a
Right.
great call out, and I don't think he was highlighted as one of the top tight end performances of the week outside of here. So,
Right.
I really think it's a good call out. Keep an eye on him.
I know Keon says Lewis, went out there, had 9 receptions, 119 yards, so that might be their guy, but it's still nice to see, with Jared Connect just going out there and doing some big plays and making it happen. I mean, but here, 30 passes, 30 or 37 passes, 30 completions. So he was definitely getting the ball over the field with Lewis, Kanak, and Burks being their guys. But it was definitely nice to see Kanak just go out there and make the plays after the catch and really not go down. As you said, just that bulky, reliable type of receiver for them moving forward as well. Who's your tight end?
Yeah, so my tight end was Eli Raridon over at Notre Dame. He's a guy who was a former 4-star, like a 4+ coming in, had a couple just devastating injuries, knee injury, and just finally kind of saw the field a little bit last year and then absolutely exploded. He already set a career high in receiving yards on a season in game one with he went 5 for 97 on 9 targets. He did have 2 drops, so that was something. He's got to clean that up. But just huge kid. It was 3.46 yards per route run, which is kind of elite metrics. The yards after catch was 59 and broke a few tackles. He kind of looked like a dude that I think we got to keep an eye on because Notre Dame produces these tight ends. Maybe he's the next great one. He certainly is athletic enough now that he's fully healthy. Known for his blocking already. I mean, if he can add this receiving component to his game, be a dynamic weapon.
Yeah.
I think he's worth watching.
That's fair. I mean, he's definitely so keep on your radar, especially we talked about Notre Dame earlier. If they're not leaning on Love, maybe Raridon is someone that they try to go lean on as far as just making those plays happen down the field. So some of his blocking as well. So there is opportunity for him to grow. Definitely a good showing in week one, especially for a team that didn't look as impressive. He went out there and had some impressive plays as well. So excited to see what he can move moving forward as well. Tight ends are always hard to identify in Devy, simply because they have a big game, then they have 2 or 3 of downs, and then they have a big game again. It's like, wait, gotta bring them back. But it's very hard because I think right now our limit or our ceiling is Brock Bowers, and the reality is just no one yet is gonna have that. We might see it down the road, but right now I don't know if there is someone true, but that could develop as the season progresses as well. So Raridon's a great call out there. Now, with every love, there is a hate. And now we're gonna get into our week one hates, and this is gonna be sad topics because don't like to talk not good about players, but reality is some players don't have good weeks, right? And that's just the reality of football. And so I'll start off with us because this will hurt, but man, I might have been too high on Kate Klubnik, right? I was the one that said the hot take. He goes out there and dominates, throws 50 touchdowns. He might have over 5,000 yards. He's leading Clemson to the ACC championship. The benefit is, just like Texas to Ohio State, it was a non-conference game. They played against LSU. But this was a game that Klubnik needed to show out, right? Because LSU, it's SEC, and you're playing the ACC. You need to go out there and do something big. And what does he do? He goes out there and just 19 for 38 in throwing attempts, 230 yards, an interception, no touchdowns, 8 attempts rushing, 1 yard. Where was Kate Klubnik? I mean, he was on the field, but I didn't really see what I wanted to see from him. What were your thoughts on Kate Klubnik there?
Yeah, this was ugly. I feel like when Antonio Williams went out of the game, it was like play 1 or 2. I mean, he immediately got hurt. I feel like the game plan just fell apart for Clemson. TJ Moore couldn't get separation consistently. Bryant Wesco had a few iffy kind of plays. I think he ran the wrong route a couple times. Right. And I mean, those are they're young players. The inexperience is there, but Klubnik seemed to just panic once that happened.
Yeah,
he'd stopped trusting himself. I mean, there was a play specifically at the end of the game where he had a chance to tie it, and he just inexplicably, like, he was looking at a guy who was wide open downfield and decided to run and then got sacked.
Right.
I mean, that's just like that's sort of inexcusable behavior from a multi-year starter now, guy who's supposed to be the number 1 pick. So it was definitely a rough sight. I do think that LSU defense, though, is going to be
a problem.
Elite. I mean, they have that. I mean, that's really what carried LSU this game. The offense was real hit or miss. I think Durham was the bright spot, but the defense was just all over the place, electric.
Yeah.
It was. They had Klubnik seeing ghosts out there, and I could see that. So I give him a semi pass, just because he might have been playing against an elite defense without his his top weapon gone from play 1, but he does need to do better. He needs like a show out game to make up for this.
Defense wins championships, so maybe that's a hindsight moving forward on what LSU can do, but they do need to get their offense together. And on Klubnik's side, I mean, your top wideout goes down, but as the quarterback, you need to go out there and lead it. And, we talked about too their running game. They need to find a better identity there as well, but it's just hard to see it. Again, benefit, it was SEC, it wasn't there. He could still redeem himself going out there and just dominating the ACC. But week one, tough outing for him. What about your quarterback? Who was someone that kind of was on your hate list?
Yeah, so I definitely don't mind Hayden as much as you do. I'm world class with it. But mine was for Mendoza. This was really disappointing for me. I was 18 for 31. That's 58% completion. Only 193 yards through the air, 0 touchdowns. And he did add 6 for 33 and a touchdown on the ground, but like that's not really his game. That was, but it was against Old Dominion, and that's what really stands out for me. Is this was a game he should have gone out, dominated, shown it, like it's a softball schedule. I mean, we saw like Malik Washington and JKS go out and dominate. They're true freshmen. Mendoza has this experience. He has Elijah Surratt as a weapon, which is better than anything those two guys have.
Right.
And nothing. I mean, it was like that. That's what's disappointing. Is I wanted to see a dominant performance, and instead he performed pretty similarly to Cade Klubnik against LSU. So I don't know. Any thoughts here? Are you worried about Mendoza? Do you think this is just him breaking into the offense?
I mean, am I worried? You guys have some worried, right? Just state it. I feel they just didn't need him as much. I mean, I was talking about Roman Hemby up to this game, about a couple weeks up to it, just leading up to. I thought that was a dynamic runner they had, and he was really the one that stole the show. 23 carries, 111 yards. But with that, I think, like you mentioned, Prize is filling the offense. I don't think they needed to throw as much as they needed to. They could have leaned heavier on their running backs, but they chose to throw in certain situations. He didn't look great, so it is worrisome, right, when you're just over 50% completion. But I feel like it's just Old Dominion just having a good one. It's week one. You have the jitters. I think Indiana's still going to be a solid team moving forward. What was the score here? It was like 27-14. So their defense is still going to be there. It's still going to be good. I think Mendoza's someone we don't know. Let's say where he's at. Devy, he's more of a CFF asset. But with that being said, the week one performance makes him less of a CFF asset, right, than you have as Devy. But he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. He has a great arm when we see it. I think he just needs to get comfortable in the new look offense to really understand what he's going to be doing there as well. Now, our next guys that we're talking about is our running backs. Those are harder too, but man, guys we were talking about higher. I want to say Jordan Marshall. I thought he was going to take over for Michigan there, and he did it. It was a split, right? Because I think it was 16-11 with him and Justice Hayes. He had 11 carries, Justice Hayes at 16. However, he only averaged 2.6 yards per carry. Where on the flip side, Haynes came out of that split, and he had 9.9 yards per carry. So Haynes had 159 yards and 3 touchdowns, where Jordan Marshall just had 29 yards. Is Hayes the RB1? I mean, I think he might. I think he showed more juice in this game, where Marshall came out and just didn't necessarily show as much as we thought he would have.
So I think this was just a down game for Jordan Marshall. But that said, I mean, you hate to see him be outperformed so badly. It's
like, that's not true. Hold on.
That can't be. No, we got a comment right now. Garrett Wilson traded to the Chiefs for 2 firsts. I'm not buying that. That can't be true. Amir, confirm.
Yeah. Call me over here. Whoa. This is breaking if it happened.
Yeah. No, but
we're over here, so we're like, wait. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. No, there's no way. While I'm doing my tirade on Jordan Marshall and how sad this was, fact check Philly Mike OG. Is trying to get us to break fake news here. No, I mean, this was like again, he didn't do a lot after contact. He didn't miss a lot of forced tackles. The vision was really subpar. He's just running into guys. I mean, but to be fair, there wasn't much in front of him. It was almost like the O-line was like, here, Justice Haynes, we're going to do the best job for you. Oh, right. It's Jordan Marshall running. Here, just come through here, linebacker. Come say hello. Right. So, I mean, some of that is, I still believe he was, like you saw at the end of last year, like he's still, kind of running just elite levels, but he was still inefficient last year on a whole. We're looking really towards the kind of his end of year performances, but it was still 3.3 yards per attempt last year. Granted, it was like 3 yards after contact as well.
Right.
But maybe the issue is he just doesn't have the vision and like first step to get through an O line. So that's what worries me.
Mm-hmm.
Is really like maybe he's a bruiser, but he might not have that juice to get going or the eyesight to get to that
Right.
next level and make the most of his strength. So
Fair.
it's something to watch for sure.
Fair.
Was
You
it
know,
true?
yeah. I mean, people's looked kind of like you said, just so that maybe they don't want to use him. And him and Donaldson can have that similar type of playing style. I feel like Donaldson's your Bruiser going in. He had a better outing, right? When you talk about it, 67 yards on 19 carries, not the best, but I mean, Jay's people at 10 for 20, right? So again, though, I think this was just a testament to the defense, excuse me, that Texas had, that defense that Ohio State had. I really think they just came out. Again, we were expecting fireworks, and then comes out that they actually just had it as a good defensive outing. And I'm not necessarily knocking them down quite yet because I think they'll get better, and we might see more James people. But it is concerning again when you go against this top competition like a Texas defense and you don't necessarily show out. But I mean, if you go out there and just dominate against the lesser of the competition, there may be more opportunity there as well. It is a hoax, by the way. I've looked it up. At least no one's commented on it. But no, but
Come
I think
on,
it's
tell me, my
definitely.
coach, be
Um,
better. No, so
I,
yeah, James Peoples. Yeah, I am moving him down.
yeah. Okay.
I am. No, this was. It wasn't just that Donaldson looked good. It was that James Peoples looked actively not good.
Okay.
I think he's going to be lightning to a thunder, but I mean, the vision wasn't great. He didn't make anyone miss. He didn't actually look that quick.
Right.
I feel like Bo Jackson is ultimately going to take over that role and run away with this backfield. And maybe we see a little Anthony Rogers going forward too.
Yeah.
But I think Donaldson is going to have his role all year, and I think Bo Jackson's going to end up eating into Peoples and then taking
Yeah.
over next year.
I think that just to say that they didn't bring in Donaldson or they didn't bring in Jackson at all. It was just Peoples and Donaldson as well. So it will be interesting what they do moving forward. Maybe they just want to see what they had in this running back tandem. But we knew going in it wasn't going to be as exciting as Henderson and Junkins was last year as well. But as far as that, our wide receivers that kind of disappointed in week one. This is a guy I was super high on, and it just. No NC State's Noah Rogers, man. Fifth on the team in terms of yardage, true receptions, 4 targets, which I think was tied third for targets, but the receptions were tied fourth, possibly, if I'm not mistaken. 19 yards. His longest was just 10 yards play. Didn't do anything with the ball in his hands. He caught it, got hit, anything like that. Shout out G. He's over here saying Bo Jackson was his third round pick. Hey, he hasn't showed it yet, but might be a good pick moving forward. But no, Rogers, man, I was truly disappointed with it, and I just thought it was. I didn't see more. I mean, I was excited. I thought he's a great wide receiver, but he just did not do anything with his ball. Like he didn't even move a yard. He got the ball, got hit. Nothing special. So I want to see more from Noah Rogers. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, no, it was definitely disappointing. I mean, CJ Bailey looked good too, so it wasn't like the offense was sputtering.
Mm-hmm.
But there was plenty of ball to go around, and he just wasn't. He just wasn't doing anything with it. It wasn't getting open. I do think he looked slower than he looked last year. So I don't know if he was a conditioning issue or if he's just kind of ramping up to football speed. Maybe just a bad day. So we'll see going forward. But this was definitely not a good start when it was a good start for NC State, kind of looking on offense.
I mean, consider other guys had 121 yards and 93 yards. I don't know Rogers again 2 for 19 is just disappointing overall. So yeah. What about your wide receiver?
Yeah, this one, I'm not victory lapping yet, but Ryan Wingo, he looked rough. I mean, it was really, really bad. It was 2 receptions on 8 targets for 35 yards. He had 1 rush for 8 yards. He wasn't open at all game. He didn't kind of make the tough catches, like contested catch situations. He just let himself get bodied. And granted, again, Ohio State has playmakers, but that's who he's going to have to play against to, be that one, be that alpha. Yeah. He had a really bad drop, then a crucial third down that, I think swung the momentum of the game because shortly after that was the huge play to Carnell Tate, and then it was sort of game over.
Right.
It was a really rough start to the year with him as the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of easier matchups coming forward. Maybe possibly every single matchup until he gets to the playoffs will be easier than this going forward. But I I think that all the concerns are there though. Like you need to see him improve as a route runner, start to get separation, or start to make tough catches. Otherwise, he's just kind of Quentin Johnson like, and that's really worrying to me.
Fair. I was shout out our guy Tommy. I think he was one on Devy game day. Saying Parker Livingstone is someone to watch out for, and he actually had a big play as well. The only touchdown Texas had. I will say with Wingo, the 2 for 8 is worrisome because you don't want to see that. If you're considered the extra alpha, you need to be catching at minimum 50%. At minimum. But if you're considered an alpha for a high-powered offensive team, you need to be catching 60%, 66%, stuff like that. So 2 for 8 is concerning. The bright side of it is 2 for 35, 17 and a half yards. But as you mentioned, one of them was a long 28-yarder type of pass. So it really goes down and says, okay, he had one 28-yard pass and then another 70-yard catch. There really isn't much. Like he wasn't necessarily explosive. It's just one play that really showed it and made it happen. So it is concerning to see it. I really like. I didn't see what I wanted to see in Texas either, as far as who they were using. I know Emmett Mosley was like a late out there with this injury, but we didn't see the freshman take the field. It was DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingston, even David McCutcheon. And I want to see more. I mean, with Wingo, the guys that we talked about all season didn't see as much as a field, and yet Wingo still didn't shine. I mean, Jack Andrews came out and led the team with 4 receptions, right? Or led the team with 50 yards, not receptions. CJ Baxter had that with 5. But it's definitely concerning seeing Ryan Wingo. I don't want to high five you and say good job, you got it right quite yet. But
No, I won't either.
but I do say you're on something here because if that is it, we know he's going to be covered as their one, but he's going to need to make those plays as the one too. He's going to be the one that needs to go out there and make those hard catches. And I don't necessarily see the yak doesn't need to be there, but you need to make those hard catches and move the chains. And he just didn't do that effectively in this game, which is worrisome moving forward. It's something you definitely got to watch because it's going to be easy for them to replace. They have a deep room where if he's not doing it, they're going to find someone else that can for sure.
Yeah.
Now, as far as that, our tight ends that we want to talk about, this was a harder one too, man. It's just hard pills to swallow when we see these, and these are guys we talked about. Trey Lecter, he had 1 reception for 17 yards, nothing more, made a big play, and then just wasn't used as much. Now, it's hurtful, or he's on my hate list, I guess you could say, just simply because he was someone I wanted to see more of and actually be on the offense, not necessarily just be a blocker for the team, but actually get the targets and the receptions that he did it. He had, again, that big play, moved the chains, and then they didn't use him as far as passing to him again. So I want to see more Trey Lecter moving forward and what he can do, but it's definitely concerning. I'm still in on him, but we'll see what Washington State does with him. Any thoughts there?
No, I mean, I think this was sort of odd. I think his usage, like you do want to see more, you want to see him get going, but he wasn't really involved in the running a lot of routes out there. So I almost wonder if this was just a 1 week thing where maybe the snap count was a little lower, and he'll get more snaps moving forward. Cause I mean, he was still at 2.13 yards per route run. So even with that 1 for 17, like he just didn't run a lot of routes.
Right.
So you kind of hope that he can get involved in a little bit more usage and step his game up. I mean, he's really athletic. I think he could get drafted even without big production, but big production certainly helps you feel more confident about that.
100%. 100%. And again, week well, you're still going to see a lot more, but I want to see it step up for him as well. Who's your tight end, though?
Yeah, so my tight end, and this one hurt a little bit, but it was Trey Green. I mean, everyone saw the great catch, and he looked great, but he got outperformed by fellow tight end Bauer Sharp, who out-targeted him, I think, 7-2. Had more yards than him, had more catches than him, was just generally more involved in the offense. He is the senior tight end. So I think that this is one where I was really hoping Trey Green was going to lead this room, kind of potentially even be the number 1 weapon.
Very possibly
I mean,
could have been.
Maybe, I mean, he very well could be. I mean, he's still young. Throughout the year, they could incorporate him more and more in the offense. Maybe he starts to earn a few more targets. Again, he's the only one who can make that play in the end zone that he made.
Right.
he's the only player on LSU, potentially in college football, that can make that play.
Right.
But again, it's tough with tight ends. But you just wanted to see a little bit more from him, at least be the leader in the tight end room this year.
Yeah, I think we kind of hit on it earlier. LSU as a whole just didn't look as dominant as we might have expected them to be as a passing team. Again, Durham went out there and did his thing, but definitely want to see more. So I still hold it, right? It was against Clemson. They did what they needed to do to win. I think they were just more trying to be a game managing team rather than going out there and making those big plays happen. So I'm not as concerned for Green, but definitely is someone to keep an eye on, especially if he wasn't the main guy there for that LSU offense as far as the tight ends. We know there's receivers there. Aaron Anderson did look good, but we want to see more from someone that could be a dynamic tight end like Trey Green there as well. So no, I agree with that. Now that goes into our hates for the week. Each week we'll give you some hates or some loves there as well. But with that, each week we're also assigning some homework to each other. And for the viewers, if you want to pay attention to what we're looking at, we ask that y'all join as well. But such I'll let you start. What is your assignment for me today? For this week,
So
I should say.
I want you to tune into the Michigan v Oklahoma game and try to look at John Mateer and Bryce Underwood and see who does
Like
better.
that. Okay.
They're both kind of the mobile quarterbacks. Both had pretty good starts to the week. Obviously, Mateer's the seasoned vet, and Underwood's the young gun. But this is a big matchup, and I kind of want to see you. And then the bonus assignment is check out Klein. Let me know if he's a Devy tight end. He had a good week one. Michigan seems to produce these guys. We just saw Loveland go to the NFL. My friend growing up, Luke Schoonmaker on the Cowboys, hasn't done anything, but like they produced him, sent him to the NFL. So I mean, I think that let's see if this sticks. And then otherwise, is Deion Burks back on the Mateer side, or was that just a flash in the pan again?
For sure. I mean, I think those are both good. Looking at Mateer and Bryce, definitely two quarterbacks that can elevate their team or take the team just based on their athleticism, what they can do. The ball's in the hand or their awareness to escape the pocket under pressure and make some big time throws down the field as well. Klein, he is a prospect we talked about in Devy, but is he really a legitimate prospect as far as the top one for a team like Michigan? And then Deion Burks, I like that. Is he back? We'll find out, because we've seen the big plays from him. We've seen the big games from him, but it's not as consistent. So I definitely think if that can happen for him, there is opportunity there. And so for me, I'm gonna ask you to tune into Oklahoma State versus Oregon. Really, what I said earlier, is Mekhi Hughes part of the offense? I think that's a big part because yes, week one was there. It'd been different if they played Ohio State and they didn't play Mekhi Hughes. I'd been like, what's going on? Montana State, I feel it might be again more season there. So I want you to see that. And if he isn't as part of the offense, is there an RB that really has that Devy potential? Because we were talking about Hughes before. We didn't talk about Whittington. We didn't talk about Lamar. We didn't talk about Jordan Davison or De'Aaron Hill. Are one of those running backs a prospect to watch? Jordan Davison, true freshman, had 3 touchdowns, right? So is this someone we need to watch them and see, all right, there's actually a Devy prospect in here, but it's not who we thought at the running back room? For your special ones, I want you to really watch out for the Corey Moore, the wide receivers, Malik Benson, Gary Bryant Jr. Are we going to really see a role moving forward for them? Was it just the competition that we saw a little bit more, or is the Corey Moore going to step up? But really, we know the Corey Moore is a Devy asset right now. We know he's a freshman. I might get that playing time. Or Malik Benson and Gary Bryant Jr. Devy assets. Do you actually see on tape that they can do it? And also on the flip side, Caleb Hicks. I mean, we talked about Ollie Gordon multiple times on how he was really dominant at Oklahoma State. Caleb Hicks had over 21 carries. He does just have 56 yards, but is this someone that needs to be reliable? Because 5'11", 215, really good size. So is this a running back that we want to see more of? Do we need to start having them on our Devy radars, or is he just someone that is on a team that just likes to rush the ball and he just happens to be the bell cow there for us? Okay. So
I like it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And those are our Devy assignments for the week. We do ask, everyone that's following, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends to tell their family to tell their friends to make sure they're subscribed because during the football season, we are officially back. As Devy astronauts, Devy Planet people, experts here, we had a week early. But our guys in FFU, we talk about the Dynasty Dogs, Mike and Rich. We talk about Justin Ranks, Jeremy. We talk about Jesse, who's going to be doing the shows on the weekend, the roundtable, or even the start sit shows that we have on Sundays. We are having shows consistently. So make sure you are subscribed so you aren't missing any of those because we are back. This is going to be a great opportunity for everyone to go in there and watch and learn. Join our Discord. Make sure you're following us on X at the FF Universe. We have multiple things dropping. Don't forget, Devy Planet Live every Wednesday. We'll recap and tell you some players that we're loving and hating, give you some Devy values, and also Tuesday, the Devy Times, the number one newspaper source for you for Devy articles. Talk about the top headlines from the previous week. Make sure you're doing following us on X at the Devy Planet because that drops every Tuesday for you as well. And as we said before, Devy Game Day every Saturday morning, an hour before kickoff, before college football. Myself, Spencer, and maybe a different guest here and there. Last week we had 6 people joining. We are here to talk all Devy football and let you know what you need to be watching out for moving forward. But any last words, Spencer?
No, definitely, follow along. We're going to be diving into these college guys, bringing you all the way up, right up to the NFL draft, highlighting names that are going to be rising up, highlight names that maybe you need to start dropping down. It's the best time to kind of get in. And again, the FFU, we're doing a lot of great stuff. We're going to help you win your leagues. And I think the biggest thing with us is we're always accessible. Mm-hmm. You can't always reach out. You can tag the ballers. You can tag these guys. They're not always going to come back. We're always going to be there to answer, as many questions as we possibly can, be there for you guys, give you that, one-on-one advice in a way that I think really stands out in this industry.
There you go. And don't forget, if you are unable to view it when we go live on YouTube, the following day, if I'm not mistaken, Spencer, we do go on all your podcasts, all things like that, Apple Music, Spotify, everything. So for everyone at the FFU, I'm SC Romero, my co-host Spencer. This is the Devy Planet, but we will see y'all on Saturday, bright and early. Peace.
See.
FFU. FFU.